Imagine this: a bunch of men in kilts standing on the green hills of Scotland looking at a perfectly good field and saying, you know what this needs? A hole. And then let's whack a little ball into it from miles away with a stick. And that, my friends, is how human beings decided to make suffering into recreation. Ah, my dear friends, the invention of golf was not just a pastime. It was a profound psychological experiment dressed and played. When the first Scotsman carved a hole in the earth and smacked a ball toward it, what he unknowingly revealed was humanity's eternal dance with the unconscious. For what is golf truly but the symbolic attempt to unite the known and the unknown? You stand there, swinging wildly at a sphere no larger than your thoughts, aiming at a destination you can barely see. It is as if life itself whispered, take your small, fragile self and send it soaring toward mystery. The ball, this humble white sphere, is more than an object. It is your consciousness. You place it carefully on the tee, just as you place your intentions into the world. Then comes the swing, the action of life, your willpower, your choice, your courage. And as that ball flies, sometimes straight, often crooked, it mirrors your own journey toward understanding the whole. That is the hidden truth, the treasure buried in the psyche, the center of meaning. It is never directly in sight. Sometimes it lies beyond the hill, concealed by trees, surrounded by traps of sand and water. Just as in life, the truth is not obvious. It demands persistence, resilience, and sometimes sheer madness. Look at the course itself. Wide fairways that seem welcoming, promising easy progress. Then suddenly the rough appears, tall grass, thorns, the entanglements of everyday struggles. And when fortune feels cruel, the sand traps await, swallowing your ball like the desert swallows water. These landscapes are not merely physical. They are the architecture of the human condition. Every bunker is a shadow, every water hazard an abyss of forgotten fears, every green a fleeting moment of clarity where, if luck and skill align, you glimpse your own potential. Now, the comedy of it all? Ah, yes, because humanity in its infinite brilliance invented a game that is both torturous and hilarious. We could have invented a game where the ball rolls downhill into the hole, a game of ease and celebration. But no, we created golf, a game where frustration is the rule, where you spend 5 hours chasing a ball smaller than your patience, where victory feels like an accident. And why? Because we crave struggle. We need obstacles. The psyche thrives on the dance between defeat and triumph. Without resistance, the soul cannot grow. And so we invented golf, a ritualized theater of suffering that ends sometimes with joy. But do not think golf is solitary. Even when you play alone, you are in dialogue with the wind, the earth, the echoes of all those who walk the course before you. It is both deeply individual and profoundly collective. Just as in life, your journey toward the whole is your own, but the course itself belongs to everyone. The invention of golf created a paradoxical stage where solitude and community coexist, teaching us that even in our loneliest swings, we are still part of the human story. So, my friends, the invention of golf is more than a Scottish pastime. It is a mirror of our own psyches, a playful expression of our endless search for meaning. Every swing is a question. Every hole, a hidden truth. Every laugh on the fairway, a reminder that life, at its core, is not meant to be won, but to be played with humility, with humor, and with an unshakable willingness to step once more onto the tee. Imagine, if you will, a game where grown adults wander out onto the grass, dressed like someone's eccentric uncle at a family picnic, plaid pants, hats with pom-poms, and their mission is to smack a tiny ball across a vast field into a hole so far away it might as well be in another country. That's golf. But beneath the comedy, beneath the absurdity, there's something profoundly human happening, because this game isn't just a pastime, it's a mirror of our very existence. Golf is a symbolic drama about life itself, about striving for something unseen, about chasing meaning in a world that doesn't always show you where the finish line is. You see, golf is not just a game, it's a ritual. When you step onto that green field, you are stepping into the theater of your own psyche. That little ball, that's your thought, your intention, your consciousness, waiting to be sent out into the unknown. And the hole miles away, hidden by hills, surrounded by obstacles, that is your goal, your destiny, the truth you are searching for. You don't always see it directly. Just as in life, you rarely see the future clearly, but you aim anyway. You trust the swing, you trust the journey, and you hope that somehow, by miracle or madness, you'll land closer to what you seek. Now, think about that swing. It's ridiculous when you break it down. You stand there, twisting your body like a pretzel, raising this long, slender club like some medieval weapon, and you unleash all your willpower into that one motion. And in that moment, it's not just a swing. It's your very attempt at life. Every choice you make is a swing. Every risk, every leap of faith, every attempt to launch yourself towards something greater. That's the swing. Sometimes you connect perfectly, and the ball flies beautifully like a dream. Other times you whiff, and the ball rolls a pathetic few feet, mocking you with its stillness. And isn't that just the truth of being alive? Sometimes the world applauds your efforts, and sometimes it stares back and says, that's it. That's all you've got. But here's where it gets deeper, because the whole, that small, almost impossible target, isn't just a literal goal. It's symbolic of the mysteries of life. It's the unconscious, the hidden truths buried within us. You can't see it from the start, and even when you get close, it's surrounded by hazards, as if life itself is saying, if you want to know the truth, if you want to touch the essence of who you are, you're going to have to work for it. And so you swing again and again and again, sometimes with fury, sometimes with grace, until at last the ball drops into the hole. And in that brief, fleeting moment, you taste victory, you taste union with the thing you've been chasing, and it feels divine. But just as quickly, it's over. The ball is in, the applause fades, and the game demands you move to the next hole. Just like life, one truth is never enough. We are never finished searching. Now, why would human beings invent such a thing? Why would we design a game that demands patience, precision, and humility? Because we needed a mirror. We needed a way to play with the deepest questions of existence without collapsing under their weight. Golf is like a symbolic rehearsal for life itself. You practice aim, focus, perseverance, and surrender. You practice the art of trying, failing, and trying again, and you laugh because sometimes laughter is the only way to handle the absurdity of it all. After all, what is funnier than watching a grown adult swear at a tiny white ball that has absolutely no intention of moving unless you move it? That is comedy and tragedy rolled into one. But here's the hidden genius. In golf, you're not battling an opponent, you're battling yourself. The ball doesn't care. The hole doesn't care. The course doesn't care. The only one in the fight is you. Your doubts, your impatience, your ego, your fear, your joy. Every swing is a confrontation with your own shadow. Do you give in to frustration when the ball lands in the sand? Do you curse the heavens when the wind carries it away? Or do you breathe, reset, and try again? Golf trains you in the symbolic art of self-mastery, teaching you that the greatest enemy you face is always internal. And oh, the symbolism of the course. Wide open fairways that seem inviting but demand accuracy, thick roughs that punish you for wandering, water hazards that reflect your mistakes, sand traps that mock your arrogance. Every obstacle is a metaphor for the challenges of existence. You can't avoid them. You can only face them with creativity and patience. And sometimes, just sometimes, you hit that perfect shot, that moment when the ball arcs gracefully through the sky, and for a split second, you feel aligned with the universe. That is transcendence in plaid pants. So when we laugh at golf, and we must, because it is wonderfully ridiculous, we should also see its beauty, because this strange game is a symbolic story of who we are. We are seekers, wanderers, strikers of balls into the great unknown. We are foolish enough to chase meaning across rolling hills and stubborn enough to keep swinging even when the hole seems impossible to reach. And that, my friends, is the symbolism of the game, life itself disguised as comedy played out on the green fields of the human soul. Picture it, you're standing there holding this tiny, dimpled white ball in your hand. You place it down on the tee as if it's an offering to the gods of frustration, and you whisper, please, just cooperate today. That ball, ladies and gentlemen, is not just plastic and rubber, it's your consciousness. It's the little shining thought you carry around, bouncing between the boundaries of your skull, waiting for direction. And every time you stand on that tee, you are symbolically saying, this is where I begin again. This is where I try to aim my fragile, wandering mind towards something bigger than myself. Now, across the field, somewhere in the distance, lies the hole. Ah, the hole. So small, so mysterious, so utterly hidden that sometimes you wonder if it's just a rumor started by the Scots to keep people wandering in the wind. That hole is not simply a target. It is the unconscious, the hidden truth, the great mystery of existence. You don't get to see it at first. You're told it's there, but to reach it, you have to swing through doubt, through distance, through the long journey of trial and error. Isn't that life itself? We're all standing on the tee box of existence, holding our tiny, fragile selves, trying to aim at meaning that we can't quite see. Think of the ball as every idea you've ever had, every dream, every fragile hope you place into the world. It looks so simple at rest, like it's ready to go wherever you want it to. And then you swing. Oh, how you swing. Sometimes with grace, sometimes like a man possessed by a caffeinated squirrel. And what happens? The ball sails straight toward the heavens or slices violently into the trees where it will live forever, a lonely white relic of your ambition. That's the psyche in action. Every thought you launch into the world, every dream you try to manifest, it doesn't always land where you intended. Sometimes it falls short. Sometimes it overshoots. Sometimes it gets lost in the rough, and you have to go searching through the weeds of your own unconscious to retrieve it. And the whole, that beautiful, infuriating symbol of completion, The hole is the place where the conscious and the unconscious meet. It is where your little white ball, your wandering thought, finally comes to rest in union with something larger, deeper, eternal. To sink the ball is to glimpse truth, to feel that momentary satisfaction of, yes, I understood, I achieved, and then life, like golf, laughs at you and says, wonderful, now do it again, 18 times, because meaning, my friends, is never finished. It is discovered in moments, fleeting victories, then lost again as the journey demands another swing, another hole, another search. And here's the comedy of the ball, your thought, your consciousness. It resists you. It does not want to go in the hole. It teases you. It dances around the rim, it lips out, and refuses to obey your intentions. And that is exactly what your own mind does. You say, today I will focus. Today I will meditate. Today I will be wise. And your consciousness says, hear me out. Let's binge watch television and eat potato chips. The struggle between the ball and the hole is the eternal struggle between your higher aspirations and your wandering impulses. It is the comedy of human effort made visible. But when the ball finally drops into the hole, what a moment that is. That sound, the little plunk, is not just plastic meeting earth. It is the sound of alignment, of union, of your conscious self connecting with the mystery of the unconscious. For a brief second, everything feels right. You exhale, you smile, you celebrate as if you've just conquered the universe. That's what we live for, not constant perfection, but fleeting moments of harmony. The ball in the hole is life saying, you got it, you connected. Remember this feeling. And yet, isn't it fascinating that the ball is small and the hole is even smaller? The human psyche invented a game where the goal is intentionally almost impossible. Why? Because that is what our souls demand. If the hole were the size of a swimming pool, there would be no joy, no striving, no meaning. We crave the difficult because difficulty makes discovery real. We need the ball to resist, the hole to hide, the swing to challenge us, because only then do we taste the sweetness of triumph. It is suffering dressed as sport. It is philosophy disguised as played. Even the act of putting gentle, precise, patient teaches us something. You don't smash the ball into the hole with brute force. You coax it. You guide it. You learn that truth reveals itself not through violence, but through care, patience, subtlety. That's a lesson for life right there. Wisdom cannot be forced. It must be allowed to roll gently into place. So the next time you see a golfer cursing at a stubborn ball or staring down a hole as if it were mocking them, remember you are watching a living parable. The ball is thought, the hole is truth, and every swing between them is the eternal drama of humanity, trying to unite what is known with what is hidden. It's ridiculous, it's infuriating, it's hilarious, but it is also, in its own way, divine. Now picture the golf course itself, not just the ball, not just the hole, but the whole sprawling landscape laid out before you. Acres of green, winding fairways, stubborn trees standing like guardians, bunkers like desert traps, and ponds glistening with that smug little shimmer as if they're saying, go ahead, try it, I dare you. This isn't just a field, it's the stage of existence. Because the golf course is nothing less than the symbolic map of life itself. You step onto it at the first tee like you step into the world innocent, hopeful, a little confused, wondering if you've worn the right pants. The fairway is where you want to be. Smooth, manicured, wide open. It seems like life at its best. Straightforward, clean, no drama. And yet, how often do we land there? Rarely. Most of the time, our ball veers off into the rough, into the tall grass, into those places where progress slows and frustration grows. That's life, isn't it? You plan for smooth sailing, and instead you end up knee deep in weeds, hacking your way out with a 9-iron, swearing like a sailor. It's the universe's way of reminding you the path of life is rarely straight, rarely easy, and often makes you look ridiculous while you try to get back on track. Now let's talk about bunkers, the sand traps. Oh, the bunkers, those little desert islands scattered across the green paradise, waiting patiently for your mistakes. You think you've got it, beautiful swing, perfect arc, and then thud, your ball buries itself in the sand like it's trying to escape from you. That's a crisis right there. That's the job you lost, the relationship that collapsed, the moment you thought life was smooth, and suddenly you're digging yourself out with grit, sweat, and a little bit of prayer. And golf, just like life, doesn't let you skip it. You have to get in there, face the sand, swing your way out, even if it takes 3, 4, or 10 tries. And when you finally escape, you wipe your brow and say, never again. But of course, it happens again. Because sand traps are not punishments, they're teachers. They remind us of humility. They remind us that even the most confident swing can land you in the dirt. And then there's water. Oh, the water hazard, mocking you with its deceptive beauty. Calm, reflective, shimmering under the sun, looking so peaceful, until it swallows your ball with a single splash. That's life's abyss. That's the sudden loss, the overwhelming sadness, the plunge into something that feels bottomless. You stand on the edge, peering into the ripples, mourning the ball that was, and then you drop another because life demands you keep playing. That's the lesson. You don't quit at the water's edge. You regroup, you accept the loss, and you swing again. The water hazard is life telling you you can drown in despair or you can step back and carry on. But let's not forget the trees. Those ancient, towering obstacles standing tall in the middle of your plans. You hit the ball. You think it's going beautifully, and wham, it smacks a tree, ricochets backward, and you're further from the hole than when you started. That, my friends, is destiny at work. Sometimes you think you're advancing, and instead you're redirected, bounced backward, forced to take another path. And yet, even that has meaning. Because maybe you weren't meant to go straight ahead. Maybe you were meant to learn patience, creativity, flexibility. The tree isn't your enemy. It's your guide forcing you to see another way forward. And finally, the green, the place of completion, the soft carpet where the hole lies waiting. You approach it with reverence, with relief, thinking, at last, I've made it. But the green has its own trickery. It slopes, it tilts, it deceives the eye. You think you're aiming straight, and suddenly the ball curves like it's auditioning for a physics experiment. That's life's irony. Even when you're close, even when you think the goal is within reach, there are subtleties, complexities, invisible forces that demand your respect. You can't just charge in. You have to slow down, study, breathe, and approach with care. The course, in all its beauty and cruelty, is a mirror of our journey. Fairways of ease, roughs of struggle, bunkers of despair, waters of loss, trees of destiny, and greens of subtle truth. Each hole is a chapter, each challenge a lesson. And just when you think you've mastered one, the next hole appears with new surprises, new frustrations, new joys. Because life, like golf, is not about finishing quickly. It's about playing through. It's about showing up for each hole, each moment, with courage, humor, and humility. And here's the final comedy: we designed these courses ourselves. Human beings created this elaborate landscape of suffering and joy, just as we shape our own lives with challenges and dreams. We made golf difficult because we need difficulty. We made the course unpredictable because unpredictability teaches us. And so, every time you step onto that first tee, you are stepping into a symbolic rehearsal for existence. You are saying, I accept the fairways and the rough, the bunkers and the waters, the trees and the greens. I accept that this journey will test me, humble me, and maybe, if I'm lucky, reward me with small, shining moments of success. So when you look at a golf course, don't just see grass and sand. See the map of your own life laid out before you. See the challenges that shaped you, the setbacks that taught you, the victories that sustained you. Because golf is not just a game. It is life disguised in plaid pants, reminding us that every step, every swing, every laugh, and every curse is part of the great green journey of being alive. Now here's where it gets really delicious, my friends, the comedy of it all. Because golf, at its heart, is humanity saying to itself, life isn't hard enough. Let's invent a game to remind us just how ridiculous we truly are. Think about it. Out of all the pastimes we could have created, we chose one where the main objective is to hit a tiny, stubborn ball into a hole you cannot see, across a field specifically designed to make you suffer. That's not just sport. That's masochism with a dress code. Plaid trousers, collared shirts, and the faint whiff of despair. The comedy begins the moment you swing. You stand there, chest puffed out, club in hand, convinced you're about to unleash a masterpiece. And then, thwack, the ball dribbles 3 feet in front of you like a hamster that's lost its motivation. Everyone's watching, silence fills the air, and you pretend that was just a warm-up. Oh yes, the mighty warm-up, humanity's favorite excuse. It's hilarious, but also profound. Because doesn't life do the same thing? You prepare, you plan, you put all your faith into one big moment, and sometimes it flops spectacularly. And the only thing you can do is laugh, reset, and try again. And there are the swings where you overdo it. You channel your inner Hercules, swing with the fury of 1,000 suns, and the ball rockets off, straight into the next county. You don't just lose the ball, you lose your dignity. You're standing there, club in hand, while the ball has taken off on its own vacation. That, too, is the comedy of effort. When our ambition outruns our wisdom, when we give too much power without balance, when we try to conquer life instead of working with it. And life, like golf, teaches us force without finesse just lands you in someone else's backyard. But the comedy doesn't end with the swing. Oh no, it continues in the rituals of searching. There you are, wandering through bushes, wading into ponds, poking around in tall grass, as if you're on a treasure hunt for something that cost you $5 at the pro shop. And still, you search with the persistence of Indiana Jones, because that ball is not just plastic, it's pride. And pride doesn't like to stay lost. The comedy of golf is the comedy of persistence, the absurd lengths we go to in order to reclaim our mistakes, to prove that we haven't completely lost control. And then, of course, the put. Putting, the final humiliation. You've battled the fairways, escaped the bunkers, survived the water, and you're finally on the green, so close to the goal you can taste it. The crowd, or at least the geese, are holding their breath. You line it up, tap it gently, and what happens? The ball circles the hole like it's on a date it's not sure about, then teeters on the edge and doesn't go in. That moment, that tiny betrayal of physics, is where golf becomes a comedy show for the gods. You drop to your knees, staring into the abyss, whispering, "Why have you forsaken me?" And the ball, silent and smug, stares back. That, my friends, is the comedy of human effort in its purest form, the reminder that even when you're close, even when you've done everything right, the universe still reserves the right to say, "Not yet." But here's the wisdom hidden in the laughter. We need this comedy. We need the absurdity, the struggle, the ridiculousness, because without it, there is no joy in victory. If every ball went straight in, if every put dropped without a wobble, if every swing was perfect, there would be no story, no growth, no humor. We laugh at golf because it reflects back to us our own bumbling journey through life. We're all just trying, failing, trying again, laughing at ourselves and carrying on. And the comedy, strangely enough, is what keeps us alive. Think about it. Humanity thrives on inventing obstacles. We climb mountains not because it's easy, but because it's hard. We run marathons until our legs beg for mercy. We invent games like golf, where suffering is baked into the rules. Why? Because deep down, our souls crave the drama of effort. We need resistance. We need challenge. Without it, life would be dull, flat, meaningless. The comedy of effort is that we complain endlessly about difficulty, yet without it, we wouldn't know who we are. And golf puts that drama right in front of us, wrapped in laughter. Every slice into the woods, every ball drowned in the pond, every put that lips out. It's all theater. And we are the actors, strutting and fretting across the green stage, showing the universe how gloriously human we are. The frustration, the swearing, the sighs, they're part of the performance, because when the ball finally does drop, when the swing finally does connect, when the hole is finally conquered, it isn't just a point on the scorecard. It's triumph, it's relief, it's comedy turned into meaning. So when you watch golfers laugh at themselves, or curse under their breath, or dance like lunatics after sinking a miracle shot, know this: you're not just watching a game, you're watching the eternal comedy of human effort, the endless, hilarious, heartbreaking, beautiful attempt to take the chaos of life and send it flying, hopefully towards something that resembles meaning. And that is why golf, for all its play and madness, is one of the greatest mirrors we've ever created. Here's the thing, my friends, golf might look like a lonely little pilgrimage across a field, just you, a ball, and your inner demons, but it's never really solitary. No, golf, like life, is a paradox. You play it alone, but you never truly play it alone. Every swing you take is part of something bigger, something shared, something collective. It's not just about the scorecard. It's about the ritual, the laughter, the company, and the way this strange game weaves people together like threads in a tartan blanket. Think of it. You step onto that first tee box, and you're not just facing the course, you're facing history, culture, friendship, rivalry, and occasionally, that one guy in plaid pants who takes himself way too seriously. The collective spirit of golf is what makes it endure. It's not just you trying to smack a ball into the distance. It's the banter with your companions, the way everyone shares in your triumphs and your disasters. Because, let's be honest, nothing brings people together faster than watching someone else hit a terrible shot. That sound. The thwack followed by silence as the ball disappears into the trees. And suddenly everyone's laughing, united in the shared recognition of how absurd we all are. That's community. That's the glue of collective play. And yet, it's not just laughter, it's also compassion. When you're standing knee deep in weeds, searching desperately for a ball you'll probably never find, and your friend calls out, "Don't worry, we'll help you look." That's solidarity. That's the recognition that your struggle is our struggle. We've all been there. We've all felt the sting of failure. And so on the golf course, empathy blooms naturally. It's the ritual of shared suffering turned into fellowship. That's humanity at its best, laughing, stumbling, and still choosing to walk beside each other. Now, here's the deeper truth. Golf, like life, is not meant to be conquered alone. You can play solo, yes, wandering the fairways like some spiritual nomad, talking to your ball like it's Wilson from Castaway. But the full wretchedness of the game, the full symbolic power, comes alive when it's shared, because life is also like that. You can strive alone, you can meditate in solitude, you can wrestle with your own unconscious. But at some point, the journey becomes richer when it's mirrored in others. The joy of sinking a long put is doubled when someone else cheers. The agony of slicing into the water is softened when someone else says, "Don't worry, I've got 3 floating in there already." We become human through the echo of others. And notice this golf has no referee. There's no one standing over you blowing a whistle or throwing a flag. It's built on honor, on self-regulation, on collective trust. That's not just a rule of the game, it's a philosophy of life. It says you are responsible for your own honesty, but you are not alone in it. You call penalties on yourself, you count your own strokes, you admit your mistakes, and in doing so, you build trust within the group. It's a microcosm of how society ought to function with accountability, with respect, with an understanding that the collective survives when the individual behaves with integrity. Now, don't get me wrong, there's comedy here too. You've got foursomes marching across the fairway like small armies, each with their quirks. The joker who cracks jokes at every shot, the philosopher who pauses to admire the sunset, the perfectionist who glares at every devitt, and the eternal optimist who says, next one will be better, even when the last 20 weren't. That's community, folks. It's a traveling circus of personalities bound together by the shared absurdity of the game. And in that absurdity lies beauty, because it teaches us how to tolerate difference, how to appreciate the unique rhythms of others, and how to laugh at ourselves without fear. But collective play goes beyond the people standing beside you. It stretches back through time. Every time you step onto a course, you're walking in the footsteps of all those who came before. The Scots who first dug holes in the ground, the champions who lifted trophies, the weekend warriors who swore in frustration. You're part of a lineage, part of a story larger than yourself. The collective isn't just about your foursome. It's about humanity itself, echoing across centuries. Golf is a reminder that no matter how solitary you may feel, you are always woven into a larger tapestry. And here's the kicker, even the land itself plays with you. The wind joins in, whispering secrets and blowing your ball sideways. The earth joins in, swallowing your shots into bunkers. The water joins in, splashing at your pride. It's not just you and your friends. It's you and the world in dialogue. Golf reminds us that collective play includes nature itself. We are never separate from it. We are participants in its drama. The course is alive, responding, challenging, guiding. You are never truly alone because even the elements are your companions. So yes, golf is a solitary swing, but it is also a chorus of voices, a shared laughter, a cultural ritual, a dance with nature. The paradox of collective play is that in trying to conquer your own mind and your own ball, you discover that meaning is always born in relationship with others, with history, with the earth itself. And that, my friends, is the ultimate comedy and the ultimate wisdom. Golf teaches us that we are both individuals and a collective, both solitary seekers and communal beings. And in that paradox, we find truth. So the next time you watch a group of golfers trudging down the fairway, laughing, cursing, encouraging each other, remember you are not just seeing a game. You are seeing the symbolic dance of humanity itself. We are all out there together, each chasing our own little ball of consciousness, each aiming for our own hidden hole of truth, but all of us bound together by the shared comedy of existence. And that, my friends, is why golf is not just a pastime. It is life played collectively with sticks, balls, and a whole lot of laughter. My friends, here we are, standing on the 18th green of this strange symbolic game. We've walked the fairways together, laughed at the absurdity of smacking a tiny white ball across acres of grass, wrestled with the shadows it reveals in us, marveled at the rituals that turn chaos into meaning, and recognized that even in solitude, we are always bound by the invisible threads of community. That is the true invention of golf. Not the sticks, not the holes, not even the plaid pants that should have been outlawed in every civilized nation. No, the invention of golf is the invention of a mirror that shows us who we are when no one is looking, who we become when we are walking beside others, and how laughter and struggle can shape us into something more human. The beauty of this game is not that it is mastered, because let's face it, no one masters golf, not even the greats. It is that it humbles us into remembering our place in the grand design. Every shank into the water is a reminder that life, too, will pull us off course. Every unexpected birdie is proof that joy arrives when least expected. Every foursome trudging toward the next tee is evidence that the journey, no matter how absurd, is better when shared. So as you leave this field of play, take with you the lesson that life is not about perfection. It is about persistence, patience, and the laughter that heals us when we fall short. Golf, in its quirky little way, reminds us that even the smallest rituals can carry the weight of eternity, that even the most foolish games can reveal the most profound truths. And if you ever doubt that, just remember this somewhere right now. A golfer is standing over a putt, whispering to a dimpled ball like it's the oracle of the universe. And in that ridiculous, beautiful moment, you'll find the entire human story.